Hello and welcome. Happy November. Happy Monday, everybody, to Locked On Cardinals. We're talking about some gold for the St. Louis Cardinals, as well as some large Nuke Bar cycle action and recapping the Game 5 of the World Series with our MLB insiders. And we're finishing up our preview from last week with Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies. Lots of good things to talk about, so let's get right into it on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Cardinals, Monday, November the 1st. I am Lucas, host of the show at LJ Fastball on Twitter. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy November. Hard to believe that October and Halloween is almost over. But hey, here we are on another Monday. We're going to talk some Cardinal baseball. We're going to talk some World Series baseball. And we are going to finish up our recap from last week with Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies, talking about the postseason window, the window of success with the Rockies, what the Cardinals and Rockies can do in the offseason, and a little bit more. So stay tuned for that on today's show. It's going to be a good one here on this Monday. Let's go ahead and get right into the Cardinal action, because it was announced last week that Zach and I were trying to get into, but just never really could find the actual time in the conversation. We had a lot of good other things to talk about. The Gold Glove finalists for the 2021 Cardinals are abundant, as they have six finalists for the Gold Glove that'll be announced on November 7th. The winners: Cardinals catcher Yadier Molina is the first one. He has a long history of success behind the plate with a defensive prowess. He's eyeing his 10th career Gold Glove. It would be his first in 2018, so it's been a bit of a while since he's won the hardware, and I know that there are some sabermetrics and things of that nature that might not agree with him, and to be honest, he might be the one that I struggle with winning the most in terms of will he actually win it, because JT Realmuto and Jacob Stallings are very, very solid behind the dish as well. First baseman Paul Goldschmidt is also a finalist for the National League Gold Glove winner, according to the article by MLB.com, written by David Adler, kind of breaking down all of these finalists. Paul Goldschmidt was right behind Muncy with 6 outs above average, +6. So he was very, very solid in terms of that, and he has just been a cornerstone in this defense. When I say cornerstone, I mean he really calmed some things down when looking at this defense when he got here in 2019. Okay, now you got somebody at first base you have a lot of confidence to in throwing the baseball, and now it's time to kind of, you have a little bit more freedom. If you want to throw it in the dirt, want to give him a one-hopper, he can make it happen, and he can snag a couple line drives as well. Second baseman Tommy Edman and Colton Wong, both finalists. Tommy Edman looking to edge out Colton Wong, the back-to-back Gold Glove winner of the last 2 seasons. And it's ironic that Edman did replace Colton Wong at second base, and he was strong throughout the entire season. There were some moments where you think, oh, Colton Wong probably makes that play while Tommy Edman does not. But Edman looking for his first Gold Glove. He led the position with 13 outs above average, OAA. So he had a solid season. I think that there is definitely room to improve for Tommy Edman, both offensively and defensively, but a very solid Gold Glove finalist season for the Cardinals second baseman. And let's see, who else on the infield could the Cardinals have a Gold Glove winner? Oh, yeah. Nolan Arenado, a Gold Glove finalist. He's won that award each of the last 8 seasons, including a couple Platinum Gold Gloves in there. Manny Machado of the Padres and Ryan McMahon will be difficult competitors to overreach, and Paul and I talk about that a little bit in this clip coming up here in a little while. But there's just no question as to the defensive difference that Nolan Arenado made, similar to what Paul Goldschmidt made that I was just talking about in 2019. Nolan Arenado made that difference in 2021. Excuse me. He just makes plays that other people don't. Plain and simple. I think that even if he doesn't win the Gold Glove this year for some reason, because McMahon did match Arenado with 10 outs above average apiece, and McMahon did have more defensive runs saved than Arenado, even if Arenado does not win this award, he is still the best defensive third baseman in the business, and I don't think it's even a question as to who who that is. I think it's Nolan Arenado, no doubt about it, but I do think that Nolan has a very good shot to win, if only because of his pedigree and his resume. No finalists for the shortstop. Tyler O'Neill will look to regain the Gold Glove Award as he won it last season. He led all MLB left fielders with 12 defensive runs saved in 2021. He'll be going up against A.J. Pollock and David Peralta. Tyler O'Neill, I think, has a very good shot at repeating here. And finally, somebody who will finally, hopefully, win that Gold Glove, that elusive Gold Glove to him, Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader, Brian Reynolds of the Pirates, and Jackie Bradley Jr. of the Milwaukee Brewers are all finalists in the center field position. Bader led all NL center fielders with 13 outs above average. Reynolds was close behind with 10. Bradley will be looking for his first National League National League Gold Glove Award winner. Excuse me. He won once with the Boston Red Sox. All good category, all good candidates here. But Bader is somebody that's similar to Nolan Arenado. He just makes plays that other people don't. And yes, is there questions about sometimes his decision making in the outfield, who he throws to? He throws are offline. Yes. But he catches just about everything in that outfield, lays it all out on the line. The defensive highlight reel for this man is insane. Harrison Bader, I think, is deserving of a Gold Glove. So there you have it. Those are the Cardinal finalists for Gold Glove. You have Yadier Molina behind the dish. You have Paul Goldschmidt at first base. You have Tommy Edman at second base. You have Nolan Arenado at third base, Tyler O'Neill in left field, and Harrison Bader in center. There's an outside shot, in my opinion, that the Cardinals go 6 for 6 in this category. Let me know what you think. DM me at LJ Fastball. DM the show on Twitter or Instagram at LO_Cardinals. Email the show at lockedoncards@gmail.com or reply to a tweet or comment on an Instagram post who is or is not going to win the gold this season for St. Louis. If I had to pick one that I'm the least confident in, it's probably Molina, just because of the sabermetrics. And again, his resume and pedigree might speak for themselves, but I just think that the catching position is pretty loaded this season. So the Gold Glove will be interesting as to see who wins that and who doesn't. But nevertheless, I think it speaks to the dedication of this group to really improve themselves defensively over the last number of seasons. And the gold might be the proof for the St. Louis Cardinals this season. So we're going to take a moment now to kind of transition into the World Series, because Game 5 started out with a bang with a grand slam. The Astros came back to win it. They forced Game 6 tomorrow night in Houston. Gordon Beckham and Daniella produced Locked on MLB Insiders clip was posted, about a 10-minute thing. It's on YouTube on Locked on MLB as well if you want to watch it there. We're going to share a couple clips today because there's some gold star players in this World Series as well. Freddie Freeman, as I mentioned, Ozzie Albies, 2 finalists for their respective positions also in this World Series. But the Astros, credit to them, they went down 4-0 in the first in the grand slam, and I kind of thought watching, okay, this game is over. It's not going anywhere. But Gordon Beckham has some thoughts on the Astros star players, so we'll go ahead and get into that here in just a moment, hearing from Gordon Beckham.
Carlos Correa, you mentioned he had a good night. Maldonado also showed up in this game, and he had been struggling offensively. Just how big are those individual performances in, we're in the World Series, right? But in elimination games like that.
Yeah, Correa's a really athletic, and he's a good player, and he kind of showed up tonight in a big spot to give his team a lift. But the bigger impact is Maldonado, because Maldonado is hitting. He's not known for hitting. Anything that he does is considered a bonus. What he does is defense is his calling. That's all he is really on the field for, is to really manage the staff and throw guys out behind the plate. So for him to do something offensively, it really shows that that's something they didn't expect. So for him to have 3 RBIs, amazing performance in a clutch game. He's beloved by his teammates. They talk about it a lot. So I think it was a huge lift, and it took some pressure off the guys that are generally supposed to be the guys driving in all the runs. Without Maldonado tonight, it's a 1-run game, and you've seen what the Braves have done in close games.
Totally agree with what Gordon has to say. I think that it's hard to beat a lineup when you have 4, 5, 6 guys that can beat you. But when you can focus on 1 or 2, then it becomes a little, quote unquote, easier to beat you. And I think, to his point, Maldonado has been struggling. Dusty Baker pulling kind of a Tony La Russa, saying that, Maldonado is starting because of his defense, period. It doesn't matter what he hits like. So kind of an interesting parallel there, despite Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa not liking each other very much. But the Braves now still up 3-2. but they go back to Houston. Will they blow another 3-1 lead, or will Houston be just short and coming up with a comeback as the Braves look to win one of the next two games at Houston? Gordon Beckham seems to like Atlanta's chances.
So, like you said, anybody's game this series has been very hard to predict, at least for me. I can't seem to get a grasp on it. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But do you have any predictions for these last two games? How do you think this series is going to end?
I kind of thought it was going to end tonight. I mean, it just seemed like the Braves had all the momentum in the world, and they hit that grand slam, and it's like, okay, this is their year. And then the Houston does what they do. They hit. They threw well. I mean, the bullpen was lights out when they came in, so pitched a lot tonight. And I still think that the Braves are just a team they're a team of destiny. I don't know. It's just they've been playing really well. They find a way to bounce back. I just get the sense that they're going to win. I don't know if it's going to be game 6 or game 7, but I just can't see them losing 3 in a row.
You heard it here first, folks. Gordon Beckham does not see the Braves losing 3 in a row. We will see. I think that, I kind of agree with him that I thought it was going to end. My original prediction is Astros in 7, and it obviously still is. Got a hair sticking out. Apologies for that. That's still a very real possibility because the series isn't over yet. But this Braves team has just outperformed my expectations here in games 1 through 5. So it's hard for me to kind of say, okay, still stick with my prediction, still possible, but I agree with Gordon that the Braves, I think, will take care of business and win either game 6 or 7. It's been a good series, but I wouldn't classify it as a classic series. Games 1 and 2 weren't very close. You had the bullpen, you had the storyline of the bullpen games, which was impressive, but not a lot of classic games. You had the good comeback yesterday. I understand that. Every World Series is a good World Series. But I don't know. I think maybe it's just me not having a really big dog in the fight. But it just doesn't really felt like a classic World Series. And, as Cardinal fans, we're kind of spoiled to those classics. So one note before I take my first break, I forgot to mention in the Cardinal chat, Lars Nootbaar hit for the cycle in the Arizona Fall League on Friday, and he just continues to just absolutely hit. He's just the 11th. Singled in the 11th to complete the cycle. Did Nootbaar extra inning game. So Nootbaar continuing to show his promise and his power, and continuing to really show the Cardinals that, hey, he belongs at the major league level. So we'll take our first break. Paul Holden of the Locked On Rockies is coming back. We're going to finish up that conversation for today's show, and it will end with the end of that conversation. Again, this was all recorded before Game 3 of the World Series. I think I think it was after Game 2, but before Game 3 for sure. So keep that in mind as well. So we'll go ahead and transition into that right after our first break, and that is to tell you guys about DirecTV Stream, because I know that we all have a problem with streaming. Some of us have one device that lets us catch a game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and finally a way to get your TV together. I mentioned it already. It's DirecTV Stream. It brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite shows, movies, and sports all in one place. No more juggling remotes. No need to buy another device ever again. There's no annual contract as well. You can't go wrong with DirecTV Stream. Get rid of the clutter and the confusion with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That is directtv.com. Compatible device is required. Content varies by package on those terms.
Yeah, and it's a good way to phrase it too, because those guys, I think, are leaders in different ways. I think Nolan is maybe a little bit more of kind of that. You see it, you see, like there's things that you can see for Nolan. I can't remember who was thrown. I think Kyle Freeland or someone was on the verge of a no-hitter, and he missed, and it's a hard shot through. You're not going to get, he dives out, and he just sits on his knees and throws his glove, and you might be like, oh, it might be fine, but no, he's so mad. He's so unbelievably mad that he couldn't make, he made a couple other plays in that game, but he couldn't make that play. And all that other stuff doesn't matter because he couldn't back his teammate up, because at the end of the day, that's what he wants to do on defense, is back his pitcher up. And he just brings that, like you said, a different mentality. And I think kind of would you say maybe a little bit of like a spark? Because when I hear those names, I kind of think of the Goldschmidt maybe aside, but he's been there for a bit now. But I think of the Cardinal way. I kind of think of people that have been there. I think of the tradition of the Cardinals, find it with those leaders when you hear like a Molina type name. But then when you add Nolan into the mix, I kind of feel like maybe that was the outside little spark that they needed to kind of ramp it up a little bit.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing there is that he was a spark. He was different. He was in your face more than those guys are. But and we talked about this a lot when the trade first happened, he embodies the Cardinal way. He was just doing it in a Rocky uniform. And Nolan might be a little bit more in your face than a Paul Goldschmidt. I think he's going to show a little bit more emotion than what do you call him? Big Fundo, Big Fundamental, whatever his nickname is. Might show a little bit more emotion than that, but he still played the Cardinal way without knowing it. And that's just the way Nolan Arenado plays the game. So I think it was a nice balance of the fact that, hey, first of all, it's this all-star Hall of Fame level player that you're bringing in. It's this incredible competitor, and it's somebody that's going to buy into the Cardinal way immediately, if not enhance the Cardinal way. And fellow Locked On host Jeff Carr, if he's listening to this, is absolutely screaming at me right now because he hates the Cardinal way. I think he's just jealous, though. Nevertheless, Nolan Arenado is the guy to me to gel it all together, because this team did need a boost. They did need a shot in the arm. And boy, oh boy, did they get it in a couple different ways. From Nolan Arenado, just the player. The offseason was remotely quiet for this team. They got the shot in the arm that way. And it was just, yes, the Cardinals struggled in a lot of different areas, but the what-if question you asked earlier, I'm making this trade 10 times out of 10 as a St. Louis Cardinal. 10 times out of 10, I'm making it. I know it's exact opposite of what you said, but I think if you polled Cardinal followers and you polled Rocky followers, you're going to get the same response. Rockies are saying no, 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 and Cardinals are saying yes, yes, yes.
Especially when you look back at what the deal was.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know I don't understand maybe the business side and all this stuff. We paid the Cardinals to have Nolan Arenado hit 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and bat 255, and help propel a team to go on a historic win. It wasn't just him, but he was, I'm sure, instrumental in that run. That's there. There's just, that is the type of player that if you're going to, and to kind of bring it full circle, and at the end of the day, Bridich leaves 2 months later. And all he does is send an email and lets them put it on social because the pandemic's still going on. So he gets to walk out of the door with no one there, no media, no nothing. He gets to just walk off after literally being a tumultuous GM that took a competitive window that was, the way the Rockies say that they are built, is drafted and developed talent. They drafted, they had Nolan, they had Trevor, they had DJ, they had these pitchers, they made these moves. I mean, this is a Rockies team that, with this same rotation, take out Gomber a couple years ago. I say this every time I bring up Nolan, but this was a team that had Nolan Arenado at third, Trevor Story at shortstop, and DJ LeMahieu at second base, all in their primes. And all they needed to do was not sign Daniel Murphy. They needed to find a CJ Cron level player, a first baseman that can hit 28 home runs and bat 280 and just be a utility player, and get a catcher that can hit something past the infield, which they have now. They finally have these utility pieces on a team that was 20 games out from their division leaders. You mentioned it, and I did a podcast with this. The Rockies they had a team that can compete with these high-level profile teams, but the Dodgers and the Giants have set a gold standard that the Rockies just aren't even close to. When you look at the roster, and as much as you want to be encouraged by the fact that the Rockies actually outperformed, I think, most everyone's predictions this year, including my. Actually, they were a little better than I thought. People had them at 100 losses. I never had them at 100 losses.
I never did.
I had him in the mid 70s, or I had him in the low to low mid 70s all year, because it's like, this team plays at home half the time, and they play. Then again, you look at it, they play Arizona a lot, and then they come alive and they do some stuff that is exciting, but then it's just not even a blip on the radar when you look at the competitive nature of this playoff field. The Rockies just wouldn't have stood a chance, except for any team against the NL East, because the Rockies were really good against the NL East this year. I don't know how it happened, but they were really good against them. But
because the NL East is the worst division in baseball.
That's why. Honestly, man, the Rockies would have been a playoff team in the NL East. They would have been down the stretch. They would have been, if you factor things into, it's like when you really look at it. This Rockies roster this year would have been in the playoff hunt for all of the year, if not winning the division, because if they didn't play the Rockies, I can't remember, but the split between the Rockies and not the Dodgers and the Giants this year versus their performance against the Dodgers and the Giants is insane. I mean, I think they beat those two teams combined like 7 times this year or something like that. Crazy. But they were able to beat the Dodgers in LA, but you just can't be excited about, we beat LA at home in a road series in September. That doesn't mean anything.
No, the thing about it, too, is that, yes, the Atlanta Braves are in the World Series as an NL East team. And we're recording this before Game 2, just for you pull back the curtain a little bit. So we don't know how Game 2 went, but the Braves have shown out in this postseason. And the Braves, I think, very similar to the Cardinals, underperformed throughout the entire year up until September. But you bring up the good point of, you have DJ, you have Nolan, you have Trevor. People, at least for me, I guess I shouldn't say people, I always think about the biggest what if of recent memory is what if Stanton, Ozuna, and Yelich had stayed in Miami and they could build a team around that outfield. I think the same question could be asked for what if the Rockies, like you just went through, so I'm not going to go through it again, but what if the Rockies could have built a team around those 3 players, the 3 infielders? I mean, then you have a team in the West Division and the East Division that has all-star infield and versus an all-star outfield. That could have been a fun thing to talk about and do and everything, but it's just a matter of too little, too late, and being too late to things. Because like you said, if you keep this exact Rockies team and put Nolan Arenado on it, that's a pretty good team. Are they competing with the Dodgers and the Giants of 2021? Probably not. Are they competing with the Cardinals and Braves? Probably, maybe. But then you take Nolan off the St. Louis Cardinals, but nevertheless, that's a what-if discussion for a very complicated and different time. But you bring up some good points, and I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things of just mistiming the window. Maybe the window was smaller than it was thought, or something of that nature. But it was just one of those things that just didn't line up for the Rockies from an outside perspective. One break in the conversation between Paul Holden and myself to tell you about Built Bar. I love Thanksgiving, all the good food and treats and plenty of them, and it's coming up here shortly. But maybe you want a yummy dessert that isn't so full in calories and sugar. It's the perfect time for a Built Bar. Built Bar is the new holiday dessert. Feast on something delicious and feel good about it. One slice of pie has upwards of 300 calories, and that's on the low end. Most Built Bars are only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and plenty of protein. Replace the coconut cream pie with coconut Built Bar, or go for a raspberry Built Bar instead of that raspberry pie. Lots of good flavors to replace any pie. Low calorie, low carb, low fat, and high protein, covered 100% in real chocolate. But it Built is a great option for when you're hungry. If Thanksgiving isn't coming soon enough, go for a Built Bar or 2. Share some at your family gatherings. It'll make things less awkward. Maybe Aunt Betty hasn't tried a Built Bar yet. That'll be a good conversation starter for you. New surprises all month, limited time flavors arriving at Built.com regularly, so check the site often. There's nothing like a Built Bar Black Friday. Mark your calendar. Black Friday will be a huge event with all sorts of surprises. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, to get 15% off your order. Once again, that promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Lucas, it is an interesting what if, because not only is it a what if of that infield, you also have most of the arms that you're confident in and believe in right now. You already have Edman, you have Antonio Senzatella, you have John Gray, you have Kyle Freeland. You have all 4 of those arms already in your rotation at that time of the competitive window, and you have some stronger bullpen pieces then, but they go younger. They go in a different direction, as we know. The Rockies are, you say the Cardinals get a shot in the arm in the offseason and new life is there. The Rockies, we're on life support for excitement, I think, at the start of the season and through the offseason last year. A little bit more energy around the team, I think. But, it's more so just going to be, I think Rockies fans have to gear up for another year where they lose one of their favorite players that they've come to know and love over the past 5 years. Everything that points with Trevor's story, the way he talked the last 2 months of the year, points to his exit. And Lucas, we've had a lot of fun. We've talked a lot of stuff. We've had you. I know you've been great with your time here. So let's just kind of wind things down with a couple last things. Give me your quick off-season blueprint for the Cardinals, quick thing that you're looking for them. Like you said, you already said kind of what you're hoping for in terms of where they spend their money, but the brief summary of the off-season you're looking for. And again, for Rockies fans out there listening, Lucas is pretty confident you might be seeing a reunion there on the left side.
I think so. I think that's the kind of player that the Cardinals are going to get, because I don't think they touch Carlos Correa, and I don't think
He's
they
going
touch.
back to Houston. I think that's without a doubt.
That's a fair point, but even if he doesn't, he's not coming to St. Louis in my estimation. Like, that's not the kind of player the Cardinals want, and neither is Javier Baez. And you can say, oh, well, they're good players. Why don't you want them? They're not touching Correa. I'm not going to tell you why. If you don't know why, read an article about 2017. That's why they're not touching Correa. And they're not touching Javier Baez, former Cub, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it'd be nice for Javier Baez and Yadier Molina, maybe, but I just don't think they're touching Baez. So that leaves, if the Cardinals do go a shortstop route, the shortstop route will be Seager and Story. And Story, in my opinion, is going to be the more not cheap, more inexpensive of the two. So, brief plan. If they want to spend their money on a shortstop, it'll be a shortstop, one arm in the rotation, and two bullpen pieces. If they don't, it might be two arms and more bullpen. If they don't spend the money on a shortstop, it needs to be all of it. They need to spend it. They can't just sit on it. They need to spend all of it in the rotation and in the bullpen. And if they want to spend a little bit on the offense, it's not a shortstop. It needs to be a left-handed power bat. That is something they are drastically missing.
If you're looking,
What
if
about
you're
the
curious, yeah, the Rockies offseason blueprint. Offense. The Rockies need to score more runs. This is a team that can't be low in the standings in home runs. This is a team that needs to hit better, and you can't rely. If you're losing Trevor Story, you have to replace that with a power bat. You just simply need to go. My big name that I think for the Rockies to go after is Nick Castellanos. I think he would be a really interesting fit for the Rockies, especially when I think another big thing that's going to be a big deal for the Rockies is the DH, because that that allows you to have Charlie Blackmon just hit when we don't have to rely on him playing a horrendous right field anymore. I love Charlie Blackmon. Charlie Blackmon, Rockies legend, one of my favorites. But you look at the numbers, still can swing it down year this year, but he can still swing it, all right enough. But it would be great to not have to rely on his defense. And then I'd like to see the Rockies get a closer or someone that can really shut the door. Rockies lost a lot of games late because of that bullpen, and they have a lot of young in the bullpen, a lot of inexperience that I think they can work through to see who's a reliever, who can do some shutdown, and they can see who's that closer. But it'd be nice to have someone that they can turn to already in the year, because Daniel Bard just didn't work out in the second go run in terms of a closer. But I'm not opposed to see him come in and throw a seventh inning, because if he can get his strikeout pitches, he'll strike people out, which is nice. And I think Daniel Bard can be effective, just not in that closer role. And I don't think Carlos Estevez gave you enough. There's no Rockies bullpen piece that says enough that is the guy I'm confident for the Rockies to turn to in a 5-3 game in LA to win this ball game on the road. So I think that's what they need, but they desperately need someone that can hit. And I think Castellanos would be a really, really interesting piece for the Rockies to go after.
I think the NL West is going to be interesting, because you got the Dodgers that are going to come back, and they're going to have to spend some money to regain their team. They got a lot of free agents. Don't get me wrong, but the Dodgers are going to be back, and we know the Dodgers are going to at least attempt to spend that money, and the players are going to take that money. You've got the Giants, and the question is, are they for real long term? Was this a lightning in the bottle? Everything happened at once type of team. And you got the Padres that if they find the right manager and they find the right motivation, they got a chip on their shoulder, in my opinion. And not because anything happened to them that they got robbed of anything, but this is a team that came in with World Series expectations. They were my World Series champion in April. They were. I was wrong, clearly. But they got something to prove, that they're not just a Fernando Tatis marketability show, that they're an actual legit baseball team that can win games at the rate that the Dodgers and Giants did this season, because that's what a lot of people expected from them in 2021. And poor old Joker Javier Reyes did not get that expectation met. But I think the NL West has the opportunity to be one of the best divisions in baseball if the Rockies can go out and make those moves, and the other four or the other three can kind of stand pat and be somewhat close to what they were in 2021. But I think that I'm not going to say great possibility or a guaranteed possibility, but I think that there is a good possibility that we're doing another crossover come December or January with the Trevor Story deal. And fingers crossed, and I'm not meaning to open another conversation topic because we got to wrap things up, but hopefully we have baseball past December 1st and there's no lockout. So thoughts
That's
and
the big thing.
Good vibes to that for anybody.
Yes, I haven't talked enough about that. That is something for people to keep their eyes on, especially Rockies fans, for you to keep in mind with any free agent. I mean, any player of anybody with a big free agent. That December 2nd CBA deadline is going to be very, very interesting. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us, for your time. We could keep going, I'm sure. But for the Rockies fans out there that want to stay up to date with St. Louis, where should they go? How should they keep up to date with all things you and Locked On Cardinals?
Absolutely. At LJ Fastballs on Twitter. You can see it down here. If you're watching on the Cardinals YouTube, Locked On Cardinals YouTube channel, you can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or like I just mentioned, on the YouTube channel. The show is on at LO_Cardinals on Twitter and Instagram. Paul, how about where can Cardinal fans find Rockies fans like yourself salting about Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado?
I am dreading that. I'm dreading that crossover because if it also leads with a John Gray signing, I think I might just be crying the whole time or just sitting here just getting really frustrated and mad. But we are coming to YouTube soon, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. But at LO Rockies on Twitter, free and streaming on all your favorite streaming platforms for the audio. And then I'm at Paul Holden 33 if you want to check me out there for other stuff. But yeah, it's over. Yeah,
over here. If I'm pointing right on the YouTube channel,
I gotta get used to the camera, like
right,
where
it's
everything
opposite.
is, you know, where to point and all those things. But Lucas, thanks so much.
You bet. Thanks, Paul. Thanks to you as well.